Hey, hey,
Hey, what's up?
how you
How's it
doing?
going? Tired.
Yeah,
I've been up since like 3:30.
because the baby?
Yeah, and then if he gets up, sometimes I just stay awake.
Hmm.
Yeah, so it's just been a long, long, long day,
I remember those days.
and we gotta do it all over again tomorrow.
How old is he now?
He's 8 months. He actually just turned 8 months
Oh,
Tuesday.
that's a pretty fun age.
Yeah, yeah, it's very fun.
Nice. Well, thank you so much for joining me.
For
This
sure,
is
for sure.
Laura,
Thank you for having
aka
me
the
on.
Sound Sommelier, talking with Tall Black Guy. TBG, what's your earliest memory of hip hop?
Earliest memory of hip hop. I would probably have to say, um, probably like MC Hammer in like '85. Um, what was the first song he came out with back? Or Too Short. Any one of those. My uncles, they played me. They played it to me. I didn't remember the song.
Hmm.
The MC Hammer, I think it was Turn His Mother Out. Was one of the first ones.
I remember that.
Yeah.
What are some albums you recall playing in your home when you were younger? Kind of like your first introduction to music, I guess.
Um, it's kind of crazy. I mean, I had like so many different musical experiences with like family members. So like my mom, she played like Tina Marie, Luther Vandross, Cameo,
Nice.
and then my father, he was a big jazz dude, so he played like Herbie Hancock, um, George Duke, Pat Metheny, and then I had some cousins that are like 10 years older, so they would play like Oaktown 357. What else? Again, Too Short,
Hmm.
E40. You know what I mean? So I got kind of a vast, variety of music that I got played to.
Yeah, my dad was a big Pat Metheny fan too.
Yeah.
Just a heads up, when you put your head up, it cuts the
Oh.
top of your head off.
Oh, okay.
That's fine. So you were born in Detroit and your family moved to Chicago soon after, both cities that have strong roots in music history. Did you
hmm
connect with music coming up in Chicago scene, or were you trying to just do your own thing?
Um, I mean, initially when I moved to Illinois, I mean, music wasn't like at the forefront to the point where I knew I was gonna make it.
Hmm.
Um, but I just was around it so much, and like I started making music in Detroit. Then when I went to Chicago, that was kind of where I like did all my grassroots, so like shows, um, joining a hip hop group, the '80s Babies, and another group I was in, the Pathfinders. So that was kind of where I got my footing was in Chicago. You know what I mean? But the roots by me being from Detroit, and I got family in Detroit, I kind of had a lot of influence on me too as well.
Right. Did you go back to visit a lot? So you got
All
that.
the time,
Yeah.
all my whole life has been back and forth there.
Nice.
Yeah.
So it's well documented that your journey began with Sonic Foundry's Acid 2.0 beat making program, which you're still rocking with 20 years later. Is it more comfortable for you to stick with that software that you know, or do you like to mess around with machines?
What's crazy is I just in the 20 years I actually just stopped using acid like last month.
Just cold turkey?
No, it was because my computer crashed that had the
Right, I
old
read about
program.
that. Hmm.
And so I went and bought another PC and then that crashed.
Oh.
And I was like, okay, I've had so many PCs crash on me. This program is not very reliable. It's
Hmm.
not compatible because it's so old.
Hmm.
And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go to Mac. I went and bought a Mac. I got a Ableton and Logic, and I just basically just said I'm a Mac user now. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Which is I'm still learning, but I mean I have enough knowledge where a lot of the DAWs kind of translate and they kind of work similar in some
Hmm.
ways. You know what I mean? But I need to have some stability when it comes to making music, and acid sometimes it would just piss me off because you got to record like 10 takes just to get one good take because it wouldn't take
Hmm. And then you
the take.
lose valuable time. Hmm.
Valuable time, valuable inspiration,
Right.
and all that type of stuff. So yeah.
Um, so what is it about the Rhodes piano that you love so much? How often would you say you use it in your production?
Um, one, I use it a lot, quite a bit. But I just like the warmth of it,
Mhm.
just the way how it kind of sits in the mix. It kind of just, it's like the glue that kind of just brings everything together. You know what I mean? Just something about that frequency that I love it, and I will continue to use it in every single track, that I create, just because I just love the way how it makes me feel, one, and then just the way it sounds. Yeah.
Nice. When did your passions lead you from production to remixing records?
Um, what's crazy? I mean, technically, we all kind of been remixing. All we're doing is we're taking
That's true.
old pieces of music and making it new.
Hmm.
Shout out to the big homie Laura Finesse that just showed up, and my man DJ Applejack too as well.
Hmm.
But going back, so it was always something that I just kind of just learned from the OGs and just kind of just took that approach and kind of just did my own thing with it though. You know what I mean? But it was still starting from
Right.
what all of the other hip hop producers have been doing, since the beginning of hip hop, just taking a new piece of an old piece of music and making it into something new. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? So that's kind of where I sit with it.
Nice. Speaking of OGs, who were some of your key influences at the time whose style you admired?
Um, in no particular order. Timberland Neptunes, just because they were just like left
Hmm.
brain thinkers with the way how they approached production. Um, Pete Rock, Premier, um, Pete Rock for the filtering, and then DJ Premier for his minimal funk chopping, and then Madlib because he was a hip hop producer, but he was a jazz dude, and he learned how to play different instruments, to kind of bring it all together, though. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? So I think if you take all five of those guys, that kind of pretty much sums up what my sound is currently. But I'm kind of figured out. I'm trying to search for a new one.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? In search of. So, but yeah, those are kind of some of the guys that I looked up to.
I can see that, but I also think your style is very unique. I would never really compare you to anyone. Um,
Thank you.
so you met D Jackson in high school English class when the two of you were more focused on basketball than beats. Now, more
Hmm.
than 15 years later, you've released 5 memorable albums with no sign of slowing down. How has
Hmm.
80s Babies evolved in the last decade and a half to be where you are today?
I think it's just maturing as men. I mean, the crazy thing was, it's actually I've known D for like 25 years. I met him in like 90, 96, 97, somewhere around there. But anyways, it's just us growing up, maturing, ups and downs through life. He was actually a father before I was. I remember the day he called me and said, I remember the day that his girl came in the restaurant and told him that they were about to be pregnant.
Well,
You know what I mean? And then, fast forward later, and then he heard me having my own son. So, and now we just kind of just take the experiences that we have. So, if you see a gap of like 3 to 4 or 5 years, that means
mhm,
we need to live some life.
right.
And then we kind of approach the way how we make music in that way too, as well, though.
That makes sense. So your latest release, Unlearned, dropped early on in the pandemic, and its message
Hmm.
on politics and violence is more than on
Hmm.
point during this time. When
Hmm.
did you start putting that record together?
Like, well, first, when did the pandemic happen? When, in
Like
March,
March?
like
Hmm.
the beginning of March?
Hmm.
So I didn't even want to make any music just because of that stress.
Right.
Again, a newborn and just seeing all these different things on the news. So I actually was uninspired to make any music. So I took like a month and a half off. And then one night I decided to go listen to some records. And I ran into this record called, from this dude named Marish Yogi. He was this spiritual guru for the Beatles. And I happened to put it on, but it was a message in the particular record. And then I was like, okay, I'm probably need to sample this. And then I just started freestyling, playing keys, and then that was like the beginnings of "We Got to Do Better," which is the last track on the album. And I
Right.
got two very good friends of mine, Paul Theodore Chandler, who did like the string and horn work, and then the lovely Deborah Bonds. She kind of added the top end of the vocals on that. And
Okay.
then from there, it was literally like it just spilled out because I didn't even plan on even putting it out. It was nothing. There was nothing on the radar of me even doing that album. It just
Mhm.
kind of I mean, it's the spirit moved, and next thing you know, you got 8 tracks, 9 tracks later. So yeah, I don't even know where that even came from, honestly.
Amazing. Where did your relationship with First Word Records begin?
Um, Actually, while back in Detroit, I had a good friend of mine, this cat named Chris Kramer, who's a part of this group called Tensei. And he had put a release out with them, but he put me forward because I was kind of just looking for a home for some singles and stuff like that.
Hmm.
And it actually started while I was in Detroit, but we didn't become official until I moved to England,
Okay.
around like 2011, December 2011.
Hmm.
And then I put out a single with this group, Prime Meridian and Allega Dolores, which is some other friends of mine,
Hmm.
like a 7 inch. And then from there, I worked on 8 Miles of Monarch, and it was like some of the beats, I had made before I left to go to England, but then I finished it up all in. I made them in Detroit, then finished them up in England. Sorry.
No, that
Um,
makes sense.
yeah. And
Um,
then yeah, so pretty much from England onwards, I mean, they've been a great label, and just to see them grow too as well, just the
mhm.
releases that they've had over the years has been great.
So yeah, they released your debut album, 8 Miles to Monarch, in 2013, which you've said was a difficult time in your life while you were based in Detroit. Were you
Hmm.
unload a lot of what was troubling you after the album was complete? Is your music kind of like a more personal form of therapy at times?
Yeah, it is definitely now. She's, you
Yeah.
know, I recognize it now. Like I don't even, I kind of stopped making music, just for the sake of music. Like I have to have some type of connection to it,
Mhm.
and whether it be good or bad, whatever leads me to making it, I kind of let that flow through me. Hence, wow, Rest Inside of the Art was that exactly that. You know what I mean? And so I just try to approach it. I don't try to force it. I don't even want to do collaborations. I don't force it. I just let it happen naturally. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, then we'll continue to do something different. You know.
Nice. Hmm. Did you begin working on Let's Take a Trip soon after? Shout out to Dan Lish on the artwork there.
Oh yeah, he's crazy. So I started
Everyone.
working on Let's Take a Trip. I think in 2014.
Okay.
Things around there. I started working on it, um, give or take, because then Let's Take a Trip came out in 2000, November of 2016,
Hmm.
November 4th. So yeah, it was about roughly 2 years after, 2 to 3 years after.
Yeah.
Um,
At the first time you sampled your own vocals?
uh, like officially, like as
Mhm.
far as like people knew that was me, yes, that was the first time. You talking about "Come Fly with Me"?
Mhm.
Yeah, like I sampled my vocals, the whole track. That was me. So I wanted to try something, and I mean, it worked though.
That's it.
Um, so yeah, just trying to think outside the box. Again, taking that whole Timberland Neptunes vibe and kind of trying to make it my own though.
Very much so. You also dropped Yousef Rumperfield, Jazz in Motion, in the interim. What inspired you to create an album under the guise of an alter ego you'd had since you were young?
Don't ask me. I don't even. I mean, I I was 21 when I made that.
Hmm.
So I put it out with what 13, 14 years later. I mean, again, I think just me being having an open mind,
Hmm.
and when I ran into what's her name, Flora Perrine, that pretty much inspired that whole project. I mean, and then from there, then like Brazilian Chronicles and all that type of stuff with the Brazilian music and world music. Then I was like, okay, well, I just want to make music for the world. However that looks, I don't know what it looks like, but I mean, but it came true though. You know what I mean? So I just
Hmm.
kind of spoke it out there, and it happened though.
Nice. You've named Black Thought, Nas, and Rakim as a few of your favorite MCs. I usually ask about others that you might want to collaborate with in the future, but I read recently that you mentioned Jill Scott's name, and I just want to know how can I help make that happen? That
Hey,
would be a dream.
just
Too.
that's the. I mean, that's like the number one collaboration, and I'm gonna keep saying it, even if
Hmm.
it don't happen. I'm just a fan, and I just feel like I just want one time to be able to try to hear her voice over my music. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Even if it never came out, I don't care. I can say I made a joint with Jill Scott. I love her voice. So
You were the winner of the Robert Glasper Remix Contest in 2018 with your dreamy interpretation of his Move Love track featuring King. Did you find
mhm.
more people paying attention to your moves after this?
um, I mean things were just moving. I mean, I didn't really know what to expect. I mean, I think the one thing when I did this stuff for Brownswood, which was the Water No Enemy, the Fela flip, that was
Mm-hmm.
kind of when all that stuff started happening, like the Robert Glasper. Then
Mm-hmm.
my man DJ Applejack, I will forever be owed to that brother for putting, a stamp on the Michael Jackson joint, and it was just a domino effect, you know what I mean? And it's been a slow process, which is great because this thing is a marathon,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? And you know, I mean, yeah, it just kind of worked out. And I think the thing was with that track, particularly with with the Move Love, is that I took the original song, and then turned it to a whole completely different time signature. And it literally sounds like they sung the song like that, though.
Mm-hmm. I
You
agree.
know. So shout out my man DJ. Kenny Keys too. He's another one of my collaborative brothers. And we came up a lot together on some stuff too.
It's so funny. Someone just said only reason I know about Tall Black Guys because of Jazzy Jeff. And my next question is, how many other artists that can say they've attended all 5 years of the playlist retreat? Do you find it gets better every year?
Yeah, I wish we all could have been there this year, honestly. It's been so many, man. And everybody has grown respectively in their own artistry, you know. Me and just over the last couple of years, brother Lord Finesse, just the teachings that brother has laid upon me and many of others, and it just on some organic, you cool, let's bop, let's talk some life stuff. We can get through, have some music in there, but just the knowledge, that he's learned in his path and kind of passing it on. And I feel like that's what all of us need to do. Once you reach a certain level, your skill level, obviously, but just being able to pass knowledge to folks, and just, we want to keep good music alive, man. So yeah.
Nice. So both Let's Take a Trip and your latest Restless as We Are EP, which dropped in June, were released during times with overwhelming instances of racial injustice and police brutality. Do you
Mm.
feel the added frustration and in times of uncertainty, though heavy, made the album stronger in a way?
It's just speaking on the time. Both Let's Take a Trip and Restless as We Are were all within 5 years of kind of the repeat of the same actions done with police brutality and racism, though. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like Mike Brown and what's the other dude? Trayvon Martin, and then we had the one where the two guys shot the black dude while he was jogging, and then George Floyd. It's kind of identical. You know what I mean? So so it's like literally like we speaking on what's going on right now, and I felt like it was something to talk about, because it affected me in a certain type of way. So yeah,
What have you been listening to in the last 6 months to help maintain your focus?
a lot of jazz, a lot. I just my pops just put me on Lee Morgan, and I went on a binge
Okay.
like last month. I just went through all his records, or at least on YouTube anyway. I don't have a lot of them. Who else? Horace Silver. I've been getting real into him. It's just been so much. It's just been so much jazz. I think why? Because I'm trying to figure out how I want to do this jazz album. You know what I mean? I want to do it
Right.
kind of like that. Obviously I'm not anywhere near the caliber musician of those guys, but just taking that interpretation and be able to translate that you know, to where I feel that kind of gives nod to what they inspired me to make, you know. I think that's cool.
Yeah, I have a question about that too. Now that the pandemic has kind of put your life on hold, do you think you may have finally have the time to release the real jazz album you've been talking about for a few years now?
Nope, nope. It ain't time. It
Okay.
ain't time yet. I need more knowledge. I need more knowledge. I mean, I got other stuff coming up, but no, I need more knowledge. I need to learn more. I need to learn how to play more.
Fair.
Yeah.
You're currently based in Cleveland for a year after winning a
Mhm.
grant. Can you speak a bit about what you've been working on there?
Oh yeah. So I have a good friend of mine. His name is Rep Life. But he's a grant writer, and I met up with him like maybe about 2 years ago, and you know we were speaking. You know, it's like, man, you know, like he was telling me like, man, I dig your music, so on and so forth, and it's like, wouldn't it be great if you came up here and made an album with Cleveland artists? I didn't think anything of it. Literally, he called me in December of 2019, a month before my kid was about to be born, and said, you won the grant. And I was like, okay, that was pretty cool. Because I was thinking, you know, I had, before Cleveland, I was living in Maryland,
Hmm.
and I was thinking of going back to Michigan. And then, yeah, it just kind of just came up. And so, yeah, the name of the album is called The Land Claps Back. And so I'll be collaborating with some of the youth in the program. And it's like 7 or 8 lovely, strong poets, um, women writers that are great. So they kind of act as a spine, and then they have like local musicians and artists that I collaborate with to kind of complete this album. So yeah, that's why I'm here for the year.
Nice. Has the recent birth of your son changed whatever plans you may have had in place for the near future, regardless of where we are with the pandemic?
Oh, I mean, the change of plan is we just got to take care of him every day. We got to take care of him every day. I mean, that's it. And, you know, you got to figure out how to maintain balance with everything else in your life,
Hmm.
you know, with your relationships and then with the relationship with, you know, my music,
Hmm.
you know what I mean? And then just having equal balance between all those things, you know, like not showing love to one more than the other though. You know, they all need to all work all equally,
Hmm.
you know. So yeah, that's really the change. I mean, it's an adjustment.
Hmm.
And it's a big adjustment, you know, in the pandemic. As we all know, this is not easy to be, if you're doing it the right way, if you ain't going out here partying and thinking that the pandemic is over, because nobody said it was over with, you know. But if you trying to stay safe and all that stuff, like it's hard just to sit in the crib, you know. And he not have no baby friends and stuff like that. You know, you can't take him to a daycare
Yeah.
because, you know, I mean, it's all that type of stuff. So yeah.
Um, so I know you travel extensively and you've been a lot of places. Where's the first city you hope to visit once it's no longer a threat to your health to do so?
South Africa.
Okay.
And I want to go back to Australia again. Yeah. So those were the 2 places I was planning. I was already planning them. And then pandemic say, no, you're not. You're not going anywhere.
Have you been to South Africa?
2016. I did a New Year's there with Eric Lau. We did a couple parties there. And then I did a joint in Cape Town,
Nice.
all around that same time.
My father and grandmother were both born there, but I haven't been yet. It's on my
Oh
top of
wow,
my
yeah,
to visit list.
yeah.
So thanks so much for taking the time. Is there anything else that you want to add or promote?
Everybody be safe and wear your mask and wash your hands. And hey, we need some more good music out here. So you know, let's all of us continue to keep doing that.
Yeah, it can't just be you.
Right. I mean, we got about 4 or 5 of them in here right now. So you know, it's all our responsibility to do that.
Oh yeah,
All to
shouts
make.
to Lord Finesse's last release.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, just even that, man. Just we went in the studio. This cat had this vision, man, and then he had us all. He had myself, brother Bo, brother Dink. I mean, it's a handful of us, and shoot, I mean, we came in there and kind of changed the landscape of all that old music that Motown just had sitting on their joint, you know, and made something fresh and new out of it, you know, and make it make sense and actually really, really, really good. I mean, that was a great time.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Well, I hope you have a fantastic night and enjoy your son.
For sure. Thank you so much for having me on.
You're so welcome. Thank you. Have a good night.
All right, bye.
Bye.